What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the UFC Fight Night Show, talking tonight's UFC Fight Night card, 12-fight card in the UFC, and I think pretty good one for a Fight Night event. Looking forward to breaking it down with the usual crew. We got JSU, we got Mad Lab, we got Red Kachik, and we're going to talk about all 12 fights, both from a DFS and betting perspective. Awesome weekend of sports, of course, and if you do want to join Run Pure Sports, we are still running the promo code Giblets44, the best promo we run all year long. That will get you 44% off your first payment, weekly or monthly, over at Run Pure Sports. We'll get into these fights in a moment, but guys, we've been off for a week. We'll start with you, Mad Lab. How was I think we had the week off last week.
Yeah.
How you doing on this Saturday, and what do you think of this card overall?
It's good, man. I'm good. I missed you guys. We had the week off. We didn't do last week. We didn't do why? Because it was the holiday, right? I think that's what
they all blend together for me, but something like that.
Yeah, the holiday. And then we didn't do the week before though, too, right? Wasn't there a 2-week break from the show? Yeah, it was
2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
So
because of the 1 week was because of the start time.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough time for. Yeah.
But I haven't seen you guys since then, and two things I want to comment on. One is fucking Drew, your hair looks spectacular. I've never seen you without a hat on. And number two is, how about the kid coming through with the fucking championship belt with fucking Alex Peta?
Yeah.
I never got no credit for that. Christine did her shoey, by the way. So
thank God. Did she do it and post it like on Twitter? Did we not get a video?
She went out and bought like a sneaker she went out and bought a pair of sneakers. She wanted to do it on all pair of sneakers.
Listen, I couldn't. I saw the shoey. I couldn't let it slide. I had to give her some shit on Twitter for that. You can't do it out of a brand new shoe. That defeats the whole purpose.
DC, it is very sharp to go and buy a brand new shoe to do the shoey, but that takes away the point of doing it. I agree with you.
Well, at least get the tag off there so nobody knows that it's a brand new shoe.
At least pretend it was used. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny too because the video she was like really quiet, almost like she was in like someone's house, like her mom's house, where she had to be quiet when she was doing it. She was like snapping the cap off. She was whispering in the microphone. It's pretty funny, but she did it.
By the way, and I told this to Christina on Twitter, if we have any disagreements on fights going forward, we're always looking for something reasonable to bet. I'm absolutely willing to do a shoey live on this show, and I'm not using a new shoe. I'll get out my nasty ass hiking boots that I use 3 times a week and drink a beer out of that.
Now, that is how it's done right there. You pull out like shoes that you go like hiking or running or any type of physical activity. You pull out any shoe where you have you do physical activity in it. I don't care what it is. It can be as simple as walking every other day. You pull out that type of shoe. That's how it's done right there. That's how.
Well, I guarantee you on this card, there's going to be a lot of disagreements. I have a feeling because I'm on some bizarre signs. I'm on some bizarre signs.
So that are gross.
Shoey opportunities today.
I will just say that I don't fuck with shoeys, but it seems like the way the show is going. So I guess I'll have to do. I've never done one before. I've never done one.
Me neither. Zach, not on the sauce quite yet today. It's still 10 a.m. here, so. We'll maybe get on tonight. Twitter heater, yeah, you could call it that. I think that's up for debate, depending on what your perspective is. So, we'll leave it at that.
I will say though, Mad Lab's right. I don't think I've ever seen Drew without a hat on.
Fucking kid looks like he's getting ready to go to a fucking communion today. Look at him.
I'd like to.
You pulled out communion?
He got 2 weeks off, man. He wanted to look good for us. He missed us. So,
he looks spectacular.
If you would have saw my hair last week or the week before I got a haircut, it was like a month and a half of no cut.
What do you put? You put a little tea tree oil in there?
I ain't got nothing in this, man. All natural.
There's no product in there? Oh, I would have definitely bet there was a little product in there.
Just stress oil from doing this show with Mad Lab getting pissed at me.
Silky like Valentine's Day panties.
It is silky, yeah. You're right.
All right, we'll get the show back on the rails. Otherwise, we'll be here all day with the way you guys can go. First fight, let's jump right into it. We do start in the women's division. -190 favorite is Jamie Lynn Horth over Veronica Hardy. We've seen some line movement in favor of Horth. Looks like some decent money coming in on her over the last week or so, moving her to this -190 range. As always, Mad Lab, we will start with you. What do you see between these two leads?
Yeah, this is a fight with Hardy. It's funny how you see it's almost like you can watch a market with MMA, right? And you see like a lot of the masses, a lot of like the public guys, they missed the boat on some of these fighters. Like there's fighters where you got to jump on the train, you got to jump off. I believe Hardy was that train. Like when she first came back, everybody was off her. Nobody was read that the right way. We were on her. We picked her to win that fight. But now that she won that fight, now everybody all of a sudden, everyone's back on Hardy. Everyone's back on the Hardy train. There's points in times where you miss the train. You got to get on it for a second, and you got to get off on the next detour. So this is one of those spots. I just feel like I'm not high on Hardy. I'm not high on Horth either. But there were former training partners, and when you just look at like who do you think in a mud fight is going to kind of push forward and kind of make it dirty and murky, I just see Horth being that one, like just to be a little bit more bruising and a little bit more imposing in there, when push comes to shove. So close fight. It's not a fight I would throw money at or anything, but I'm gonna go for Horth here. As far as from DK perspective, I would stay away from this fight unless you have a strong feel on Hardy. If you like Hardy, the 7,700 is justifiable. If you like Horth, I would stay away from this at 8,500. There's so many good dogs on this card that you don't need to lean on a fringing favorite, especially in a low MMA fight like this. So it's a fight that in DraftKings, I'm not gonna have a lot of exposure to.
All right, Matt, we'll be hoping for a little bit of a snoozer to kick us off, at least from a DFS perspective. JSU, over to you, Horth and Hardy. What do you got here?
Yeah, from a DraftKings perspective, I totally agree with Madlab. There's so many good dogs to go with on this card that I don't think you need to play this fight that much. The only interesting thing I will say from a DraftKings perspective is Hardy did put in the ground game a little bit more in her last fight with the takedowns in the ground control, which was kind of different from fights in the past. So I don't know if like she does do that again. She could potentially, I guess, score pretty well if that was like her game plan. From a pick perspective, I do lean Hardy, but I'm not really high on either of these girls, like Madlab said. So I get it, like the Horth side. She's gonna be like probably the stronger fighter, you know what I mean? But I just think Hardy, I think she might end up being, I think her game's starting to get a little more well-rounded, and I think in the end that might win out. So I'll go her side via decision. But from DraftKings, I totally agree with Madlab. A lot of good dogs on this card. I don't think you need to go here.
All right, let's throw it to you, Drew, for Horth and Hardy. What do you got for the numbers here, and where do you stand on the two fighters?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight to kick us off. So Horth, I got at 29%. I think she's going to be a little bit higher owned just because of her money line number and being at the price point. But I think Hardy's probably the girl that I'm going to target or be a little bit overweight on. You guys talked about, there's other dogs to target, but I got her at 12.5%. So I think Hardy at 7,700, still a 40% chance to win via decision. I like Hardy here a little bit, but Horth, I'll probably have some exposure, but it'll definitely be underweight the field. I think, approaching 30% for this fight, not going to win inside the distance is probably a stay away. But like I said, I think Hardy has the leverage, being that low owned with relatively decent chance of winning via decision. So I'm going to lean Hardy here.
All right, that's Horth and Hardy. We'll move on to the next fight. Jared Gooden, underdog here to Wellington Turman. Turman sitting around -200. Very similar odds to that first women's fight. But I do expect probably a better scoring fight for DFS purposes between Turman and Gooden. Back to you, Madlab. What do you have between these two?
Yeah, I look at this fight kind of the same way as I look at the first fight, but the price here is crazy. Turman should not be 9,000 in this spot against Gooden. I like Turman in this fight from a picking perspective. I do have some infringements on him that I'm concerned about. His overall health in this fight is a big factor here for me. It depends how healthy Turman's coming in. I like the whole culture of, Teixeira MMA over there in Connecticut, what they do. Certain kind of fabric you got to be to train there. And when you go in there to fight, you're not only fighting for yourself, it's almost like you're fighting for your father. You're fighting for Glover. You want to win for him too. So that puts a little, nugget in the mix there. But Gooden, great athlete, much better than Turman. He can be chinny. He can be cocky at times, makes mistakes in the cage. Turman's good. It's Turman's chin. That's really, you got to be concerned with two things anytime Turman comes into the cage: his chin And is he healthy? That's my concern. So from a pick perspective, I'm going to go Turman because I just think he's going to be able to push a little bit harder, a little deeper. But I mean, I would not, especially like I said, on a card like this, I would not put $9,000 on a guy like Wellington Turman in this spot. And if you're going to have some Gooden, yeah, there's value there because Turman's chin is kind of dusted in spots. So there is definitely value on Gooden, but it's another fight that I'm really not going to go too heavily deep on in DraftKings.
Matt, do you think if Gooden gets the win here, KO would be your pick?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I think he knocks him out.
Yeah, because I think if this goes to decision, I think it's a Turman decision. I mean, even the Randy Brown fight, and I'm sure you might have different opinions on who won. I thought Wellington Turman won that fight. I mean, I thought he was the winner. Honestly, I thought he won the third round, and that's what he can do. He can kind of like keep going when others get a little tired. He'll start to push it on just like he did with Randy Brown in that third. I think we could see a similar thing if he doesn't get KO'd early. We could see that kind of push and then a decision win for Turman, which I don't think will score well either. So that's why I'm off this fight from a DraftKings perspective as well. I think it's a decision win for Turman, and at 9K, I just don't think it's going to score well. I think we're going to see a weird winner too. I think like for DraftKings, I think we're going to see some money left on the table here.
Yeah,
I think a bunch of dogs are going to come through with decent scores.
I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, if you fade these first two fights and you get two kind of dud fights for DraftKings, you'll be sitting pretty good with 10 fights to go, and obviously you'll be, have a lot of action coming up.
Lab, talk about your hoodie real quick. How comfy is it? Do you?
Oh yeah, bro. So let me tell you something. First of all,
it.
Big T is probably fucking sleeping or doing not right now. He's probably not watching, but all the guys at RPS.
He's watching this show. He loves this show.
Oh, is he? All right. So all you guys, Big T. His wife, JSU, all you, whoever was involved sending this. Thank you. When I went downstairs to get the package, this is the true story. I didn't know you guys had the RPS logos all over your package, right? So it didn't fit in my. I guess there wasn't enough Luxor boxes available that were big enough to put the thing in because it was a pretty decent sized package. So they called me from downstairs. So I'm like, hello, and the girl Jessica's like, oh, hey, Mike, we got a package downstairs from here. I don't know, it says like RPS all around it. Dude, I was like a kid. I went running down there, right? I ended up going to get it. Now, Big T, I love you, dude. Like, I love you, but I'm going to tell the story because I told it on the thing. And you don't know. It's not your fault. I told them, bro, the one thing that is, bro, I look like a pumpkin when I fucking wear it is red. So I stay away from red. So when I opened up the package, first thing I saw was the Yeti. It was a box. I love these things. But, bro, everything was fucking red. And I was like, well, looks like I'm wearing this in the house.
Well,
Lab, I think it looks good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, man. It looks good.
When your face
nah,
gets
bro,
red,
if you see me, like, in movement, bro, I look like a fucking stop sign, dude.
I think he probably feels like a target.
Black, right? The hat was black. I think I saw.
No, bro, you gave me a lot of stuff, dude. You guys gave me a black hat. You gave me a white hat. You gave me
Amber.
Amber. Thank you so much. And Big T, tell Amber to come on and then tell me when she's there, and I'm going to thank her because you didn't do this shit. Well, I appreciate you guys.
That's a fact.
It's really comfortable. Guys, if you guys don't have any of this gear, I don't know if it's for sale on their website, but, bro, it's so fucking comfortable, dude. Like, it's really, really good quality, comfortable gear, bro. Like, really, really, really good quality stuff.
Just get the black version and not the red, so you don't look like a stop sign.
Well, some people might like the red. You know what I mean?
No. I think the red looks like Anthony wears red. Like, I think red looks good on some people. But for me, honestly, I look like a fucking stop sign with red on.
I can see Mad Lab gets in enough confrontations. He doesn't want a big red sweater.
I don't know how Mad Lab
picked that across the street.
Dude, it's almost like getting a red Corvette.
Confrontations. Mad Lab's huge. Why would anyone want to get into a confrontation?
Bro, you'll be surprised.
No, he's the one confronting.
You've done these shows with Mad Lab. He's in a confrontation with you every 10 minutes on the show. Of course,
but like it's because I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing at like something that someone said in the chat, and he's just staring.
That's how triggered he is.
Dude, the first week I was here, Drew, the first week that I moved out here, first week after I got my new truck, Anthony was like showing me around California a little bit. And bro, we end up, I was following him because he was with his family. And we went down to, what the hell's La Hala, it's called. He wanted to show me La Holla, bro. 3 guys, bro, within a week here, they fucking walk up to my truck and they kick my truck with me in it, dude. I got to a big fight with him outside. It's like trouble finds me, bro.
They kick your
Well, I hope
truck.
you said, what
they
the
kicked
fuck are
my
you kicking
truck,
my
bro.
truck for?
Because I yielded. Like there was a stop sign and I was following him. I didn't know where I was going. So I was trying to keep up with him. So I tried to yield out of the stop sign, and 3 Brazilian guys with ice cream in their hand, I almost hit him. They
were
it was my fault. It was my fault. I even said I'm sorry. I was like, and then all of a sudden I'm driving. I hear in the back of my truck, boom. I was like,
you conveniently hit the fact that you almost ran them over, Mad Lab, when you first told the story.
That's what I think he's hiding right now.
No, I didn't hit nobody.
Did you back up, Mad Lab, after that?
No, dude, I hit the dial on my truck. I was like, you just kicked the wrong motherfucking truck. And it was like a park full of kids, and I grabbed the one guy, and it was fucked up.
Drop his ice cream? I mean, what the hell? He was eating ice cream.
Yeah, I think that's why he got pissed.
Yeah.
Drew, I don't think we got to your thoughts.
No.
Slight
I'll be
quick.
I'll be quick. Yeah, I think this fight's a stay away. I got Wellington at 23%. I got Gooden at 22%. Honestly, I think Gooden's the play. And from a DFS perspective, I'm going to be underweight this fight overall. I'm going to have very little of both fighters. But if you want to play the angle for the price, I think Gooden's the guy. Turman just doesn't make sense at the ownership, even at the price. You got to spend up for some better 9K fighters. So, yeah, this is, lower owned relatively, but I think it's an avoid, honestly.
All right, that's the first 2 fights, and I think the card really kind of kicks off here with this third fight from the bottom. Big favorite on this card. Not a ton of big favorites, but one here. Rodolfo Bolat making his official UFC debut. Sitting around minus 420 or so right now over your Peta. Big favorite, Mad Lab, but obviously not a ton of UFC tape or any UFC tape to watch on Bolat. So interested to hear your thoughts on him. Is this line justified, and do you think he's going to live up to the hype in this one?
I mean, listen, I don't know how well he's going to do once he graduates to better fighters in the UFC, but right now the UFC is setting him up for a smash spot here. Yeah. So at 90, but the only problem is you got a $9,600 fighter. When I kind of go against my constitution here when I say, like, I never like spending that much money on a new guy coming in. But this is a spot where I can see why you would want to and why you'd be able to fit it in your lineups. You got to also look at the whole entirety of the slate when it comes down to how many dogs is their value on the card. And on a card like this, where you can justify taking like 4 punt plays on this card, you could justify, you can get up to Bolat in some of your lineups. So that's why I feel comfortable. I do think he finishes inside the distance. Peta is a guy who is a good striker. He's got no grappling. The guy shells up on the ground. If Bolat was smart, he would take this right to the ground. I think if he takes this to the ground and he subs him, I think he has the ability to sub him actually in this spot. And I believe it or not, I didn't put it on my board, but there's actually a good sub prop out here for him that if you guys were willing or wanting to take a small stab on it, it wouldn't be bad, because that is his direct path to victory in this fight when you're dealing with a guy like Peta, who's actually a decent striker. But if Bolat takes this fight to the ground, he can literally have his way with him in the first couple of minutes. So I do like him in certain spots in this fight, depending on who you're rostering. But Terry, I'm not going to have much exposure to at all outside of a puncher's chance.
Yeah, Bolat minus 250 to win inside the distance, but some books you can get up to plus 340 for him to win by submission. Could be a decent stab at a nice plus number there. JSU, your thoughts on these two?
Yeah, I like the stab on the submission call for Bolat. I definitely think he's a good DFS spend up at 9,600, and that would be his direct path, like Mad Lab said. So I could see the sub happening. I'll definitely be betting that. And for him, I mean, honestly, we've seen him a couple times. Like he did get absolutely KO'd by Vito Petrino in the Contender Series, but at the same time, that dude's a friggin' monster. So, and he tried trading with him, throwing some spinning back fist, and didn't work out well for him. But the dude has power. The dude will trade. He's got decent hands on the feet. But I could see him finishing this inside the distance. And with so many dogs, like Mad Lab said on DraftKings, I think I think 9K guy is good. I mean, you could still leave a bunch of salary and spend up for 9K fighter in your lineups, or even 2, and you could still leave some salary. But I definitely think he's my top 9K guy. If you just said give me your favorite 9K guy on the entire slate, I think he's number 1 for me. So yeah, I'm going to be playing a ton of him.
Yeah, I'm with you, JSU Bolat, the first guy in my lineups today. Drew, I assume Bolato's going to have some fairly high ownership despite the high price tag. What do you have for the numbers between these two?
Yep, I got Bolat at 40%, and I got Peta at 10%. So I kind of stand a little bit different. So I think Bolato's tough at the price. So I got a sprinkle of 9K guys. I don't think I can go overweight the field at 40% for Bolat. It'll be underweight. And just trying to mix and match the best I can. I mean, if you put all your eggs in one basket and technically, approaching 50%, you're basically just all in on one of these 9K fighters because you can't spread it out thin enough on the rest. I think Bolat is worth a sprinkle, and 9,600 in most of my builds. It's pretty tough to play in without jamming into 2 dogs. So again, it's all lineup construction. But yeah, he's in a great spot to win. I think just at the price, I mean, I got him around 20%, so I'm going to be half the field.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just kind of depends on if you think there's going to be some cheaper dogs that come through. I know Mad Lab reading the playbook, you're going to have some dog picks for us coming up. JSU sounds like maybe you agree with some of those or going elsewhere for dogs. And if you like a couple, 2 or 3 underdogs on this card, then yeah, you can fit Bolat pretty easily. But I do get your points, Drew. Move to the next fight on the card. Drakkar Klose minus 125 over Joe Selecki. Back to you, Mad Lab. What do you got here?
Yeah, it's a good fight. It's actually a really good fight. I got question marks about both guys. Drakkar Klose is a guy who, despite his record, I mean, if you look at his record, like, wow, he's got a pretty decent run in the UFC. He tends to make fights, a lot closer than they should be. You know what I mean? And if you watch some of his fights, he does underperform and he does, perform very well, but it's very hit or miss with him. He does just enough to win. And from a gambling perspective, that's rough. And from a DraftKings perspective, that can be rough too. So, that's tough there, but he is a good fighter. He's very seasoned. He's a root from the MMA lab back in the day when the MMA lab was like really, really good. And then you got Joe Selecki on the other side, who I'm very familiar with him just because I used to call his fights on the regional scene. Before he went to the UFC, he was in Ring of Combat, and I literally would call some of his fights, and I always said that this kid was going to the UFC. Very good grappler, very good wrestler, very good athlete, but he's deficient on the feet. He doesn't know how to really use his energy expenditure economically. He hasn't figured that out yet, and that's a very serious problem with a guy like Drakkar Klose. So I do like where the line is. I think it's very reasonable at 8,300, 7,900. But from a DraftKings perspective, I don't have much interest here for the mere fact that I think this is a fight where, like, even if Selecki does have success here, it's going to be just a lot of grinding and grappling and wrestling. I think there is upside for him to snatch up a submission because once he does take your back, he's not letting it go. But Klose is seasoned, man. Klose is a guy who could kind of stay alive and kind of keep things rolling. So it's a tough call. They're not priced terrible where you're going to kill yourself, with the lineups. But I lean Selecki slightly in this fight. Same thing with DraftKings, just because he is under that 8K range. But I'm not expecting like a monster score from him. Does he have upside to finish close? Yeah, he does. But Klose is a tough riddle, man. Sometimes he comes in and he makes your life fucking hell. And sometimes he just does enough and he, to win a fight. He's always fighting right to your barrier. So I don't think it's going to be a running roughshod either way. I think it's going to be one of those just tough, sloggy fights where one of these guys are going to win. And that's not the type of things I target for DraftKings.
Yeah, makes sense. A closely line fight. Sounds like you expect the fight to be closely contested. What about you, JSU? Klose, Selecki, what do you got?
Yeah, I think if Klose could find a way to keep the fight standing, I would definitely like if I was confident that was going to be his game plan, he could just keep it on the feet, I would definitely pick him 100%. The problem is I don't think that happens because even when he fights, he kind of throws and then gets you back against the cage and then tries the rest. It's just like Mad Lab talks about how like it's almost like wired in on some guys, where some guys they're just wired to do things. Even when maybe it's not the game plan, they come in, it's just like their thing. And that's something that in my mind would be a problem because definitely the way you want to beat him is to keep Selecki standing and trade with him, make him beat you with the stand-up game, which Madlib already talked about. It's not very good, and Klaus is definitely better in that area. But that's why I'm going to lean Selecki just for that standpoint. I think it's a decision win, and it's kind of gross. So, yeah, I agree with the winner. And for DraftKings, I mean, the only way Selecki could score decent is, I guess, if he could get a bunch of control time. There's always, I guess he's live for a submission if he gets it down, like he said. So maybe he does snatch up one. But I see this going to the cards. So it's probably going to be like a point where I don't need this fight, to play if it fits. If you're 150, I guess I wouldn't fade it. I'd probably be a little under, depending on what Drew says about the ownership of these guys. But yeah, close fight. I'll go Selecki.
Yeah, Drew, I assume the ownership will be modest for these guys and probably pretty close between the two, priced appropriately, at least for their betting odds. What do you got for the numbers, close and Selecki?
Yeah, I have 25% for close and 26% for Selecki, so pretty close. And honestly, for that price range, that's slightly under what normally we see at like an 8K make or break for lineup. So yeah, I agree with MadLab and JSU. Like, I don't think this is like a make or break spot. This isn't something I'm going to really spend a lot of time on. I'll probably be just slightly underweight the field on both, and you're just trying to catch a win. I think at the price, even in a decision, especially for Selecki, if he gets on the ground and he wins a decision, he can still score enough at the price. But yeah, this isn't a fight that I'm going to beat myself up over. It'll probably be, honestly, if you're only building a few lineups, you probably can just exclude this one unless it fits. But yeah, I'll actually side with Selecki here from a DFS side. I think the scoring upside in a decision is probably higher than close at 8,300. I think there's other spin ups around that price you could get to.
I can answer this question, Beanair. I've picked a lot of wrong fights in my time, so Beanie JSU has lost before.
What's Beanie JSU?
I got a beanie on right now, so he's saying I must.
Yo, why are you wearing it like you're in some fucking urban rap song?
Don't you worry about my. Because you know what, Mad Lab? If I pull it down like this or like this, I look like I have no hair, and I don't like that.
So
I like showing that I have hair.
You fucking wear it like you got a fucking a thing of dreads behind you.
No dreads, no dreads, but I do have hair. All right.
Feel pretty safe. We're not going to have
Tony, where I'm like balding. Like people say he's balding. Make those jokes. Like I don't want those jokes made. I got hair. All right, don't worry about it. I like my hair.
All right, we'll move to the next card, and I think based on the chats, or next fight rather, based on the chat's comments, we have the slate-breaking Cody Brundage making his return after. What was this? The least impressive 97-point DraftKings performance of all time by Cody.
That was
Brundage.
The most annoying fight of all time.
And the worst part was we nailed it on the show. We were all over Malkoon, who was beating him down, and then the illegal strike. Cody didn't want to fight anymore. I'm honestly surprised, Mad Lab, that he got another fight after that in what should have been his fourth loss in a row. But back on the card here, and not a huge underdog, sitting around plus 200 or so. Zach Reese making his official UFC debut is minus 230. I know I can't pick Brundage, so hopefully you got some good things to say about Zach Reese, because that's the side I'm hoping to go with. So talk to us, Reese and Brundage.
Yeah, this is funny that you're saying this, because I said this in the article. I said that this is more of a pick against Brundage than it is for Reese. You know what I mean? Because listen, guys, like one thing that you got to stay away from when you hear these outlets and you hear the radio and you hear the TV, when they say he's a wrestler or he's a striker. I could say you're a dick sucker. It doesn't mean you're a good one. They say he's a wrestler. He's not a good wrestler. The guy does not know how to wrestle. Period. Fucking end. He's got the wrestling of a fucking a sophomore in high school. You know what I mean? So it's like they got to label him as something. They just can't label him as Cody Brundage. So what is he the best at? He's the best for him. He's the best at wrestling, but he's a fucking terrible wrestler. The guy's a horrible fighter who doesn't belong in the UFC. Period. End. Reese, on the other hand, he's fought nobody. The guy's literally fought nobody. You know what I mean? But he's coming in. He's the UFC new shiny toy. And that's basically all he is. But He's aggressive. He's got power. He's got an athletic way about him. He will engage in wrestling. He will throw striking. He looks to finish the fight. And I think, like DC, you brought up, if you were Dana White, if you guys were Dana White and the UFC brass, how pissed off would you be at Brundage right now? You don't want him winning this fight.
No,
you know what I mean? You don't want him winning this fight. You want him kind of fucking exiled. So I think they're kind of feeding him to this kid because they know Brundage isn't UFC material, but he does kind of have a little bit of a name. We all kind of know who he is, whether it's for good reasons or bad. I think Reese fucks him up in this fight. I really, really do. I think this kid comes in. I don't think he's good. This might be the time you get on the train and get off the train. Maybe the next fight he gets completely waxed. But I think this is a fight where he comes in, he puts it on Brundage, and he finishes him. So that $9,300 spot, I actually do like with him. Brundage, you got to have a little bit of him in there just for the mere fact that he pulls something out of the hat. And maybe this guy Reese has zero defensive wrestling at all. But my spot here is Reese. I'm not going to be super heavy on him because, like I said, he's fought nobody. But he's got upside for a first round finish for sure.
I feel like the biggest question mark for someone fighting Brundage at this point is, will they be submitted by a guillotine, right? Where he like jumps guard. He seems to do that every fight in the first round now. It seems to me like Brundage is just trying to like get in and get out of there in the first round. And if he doesn't do that, like I really just don't think he has as much of a chance. JC, you got your dog there. Your thoughts here? I know Brundage hurt your lineups, but your thoughts here against Reese tonight?
Killed my lineups. I was like all in Malkoon. I had 100%. So,
then you're just dead.
You're just dead. You know what I mean? Because the 69 or whatever his price was on that slate, he was the nut, and he was like 10%. No one had him, and you had 100% of the guy who everyone had, and yeah, it was not fun. But all right, I'm actually going the other way from as crazy as that says. So the one thing I agree with a lot of what Mad Lab said, and I'm not saying that this is safe or anything like that, but this kid Reese is not good. He's fought guys like 0-1 like before this. His Contender Series fight where he snatched up that armbar, go watch that fight. He was terrible. I think he's slow. I think he's stiff. Yeah, he's younger. He's a little more athletic. I get 100%. But like this dude is 9,300. I can't pay 9,300 for him. I just can't do it. I just don't think he's good. And I think Brundage is actually live. So I'll lean the dog here, and he's 6,900. So, Brundage he's not the greatest fighter either. Obviously, we know this, but I just really don't think this Reese kid is very good. So I'm going with my gut. When I watched the Contender Series fight, when I watched some of his other fights, I said it to myself, like, even when I just watched the Contender Series fight, but that was a while ago. I watched it and I'm like, I know that dude won. I know he snatched up the arm bar. It was tight, and he had it. Like it was tight, but like he wasn't good. He was looking bad that whole fight, and then he caught that arm bar. So yeah, I'm going the dog here. I can't pay 9,300 for Reese, even against Brundage. And I know people won't like that, but.
Well, you get the distinction of having Brundage ruin your lineups two cards in a row.
Two times in a row. Yeah, exactly.
Both sides.
Either side. So you can enjoy that. And if Brundage wins this fight, I'll open next show with a shoey of my own. We'll put that out there. Brundage not winning this fight.
Just taking the shoey.
I don't even need. You said you didn't want to do a shoey. I don't need anything on the other side. We'll do it.
Geez, all right.
Famous
best fight.
DC free roll, which I always seem to lose, so we'll probably.
See, I feel like DC would enjoy the shoey, kind of like. I feel like this is nothing for you. You know what I mean? Like.
Exactly. We'll get the party started early next Saturday if Brundage manages to pull this upset.
I put Mad Lab to sleep. Look at him; his eyes are almost shut.
No, I'm looking something up on my phone.
Oh, okay. Anything good?
No. I'm just confirming things that I say.
I think Siri picked up Dick Sucker and is doing a search for him.
Cody Brundage is a dick sucker.
Drew, What do you have for numbers? Yeah.
So I got Reese at 30%. I got Brundage at 17%. I mean, as far as the numbers go, Reese stands out quite a bit for inside the distance, for round one winning. I mean, he's got the best odds to win in round one. He's like 45% chance to win inside round one. With that being said, I mean, everything points to like you want to go overweight. Though the one thing that I struggle with, and I'm surprised JSU had said Bolat is number one over 9K. So like for me, Armand, which we'll get to, I have like 75% of. So I don't have a lot of Reese just based on the price. So I think Reese wins this. It's hard to deny, the Vegas numbers on what they're thinking he's going to do. I get JSU's point that he's not good, but I can't go. I'm not going to go on the Brundage side here. But yeah, I have Reese. I got a sprinkle. Honestly, it's a spot you could go overweight on based on the numbers. I mean, you could have a round one knockout, round one submission. It's basically anything under the sun early. But for me, it's going to be probably 25% underweight the field. And again, the field is at 30%. So I think around the field is probably the optimal spot, I think, for a Reese unknown.
That's perfectly said. Like K. Alex said it in the chat. He said it's more about JSU not playing Reese than backing Brundage per. It's not like I'm going in and laying, a G on Brundage to win or anything like that. I'm just saying that Reese makes me very uncomfortable, and I would literally not. I would bet Brundage before I bet Reese, and I would play Brundage before I play Reese at those price tags. That's what I'm saying. I might play a little Cody Brundage.
What is he? What is this guy? Your fucking cousin? You're talking about him like
no, he said it.
I would play. Huh?
He said it perfectly, so I just wanted to make sure it was said. No, he's not my cousin.
He might be one of the worst fighters in the UFC right now.
He's talking about Brundage, not Kevin.
I'm just telling you right now. Oh, he's talking about. I thought he was talking about the dude.
No, not Kevin.
No,
no.
You're talking about Brundage like he's your cousin.
Two bad fighters, Mad Lab, or two guys that I think are bad fighters. You think Reese is better? That's fine.
No, I think they're both equally bad, but I also.
Yeah, that's fine. So they're both equally bad, and one's 9,300 and one's 6,900. Which one are you playing?
Because listen, but here's my point is we're not the matchmakers, bro. There is a business involved here. The UFC,
100%, yeah.
The UFC is done with Brundage, so they technically want this kid Reese to win. You know what I mean?
True, but you always say it's a fight, and at the end of the day,
I agree.
Anybody can win in a fight, and that's just how I see it.
I agree. Listen, I agree.
Well, I hope for your sake, your best friend Cody Brundage shows out okay, JSU.
Seriously,
the rest of us are rooting against him.
Cody, I might have to put a G on him now.
I mean, you talked about him. You were talking about him like he's fucking Prince Nassim.
All right, that's it. I'm betting Cody Brundage. Fuck you guys.
I love tilting JSU into wasting some of his hard-earned cash over there. That always. Oh, there he goes. He's logging on the phone to bet Cody Brundage right now. Let's see the bet. Let's see the ticket.
Should I bet him by submission? What should I bet him? What should I bet him
by fucking submission?
KO?
Yeah.
No, specifically guillotine. It's got to be specifically the guillotine.
Can I bet guillotine? Because honestly, I would.
I don't think so, but yeah, submission. Round one submission. If you want to bet Brundage, that's what
I'm betting him right now.
Then after the show, you just call your cousin and tell him what you bet.
Yeah. I'll let my cousin know. Round one. Wonder what the odds are in that.
It's probably got to be like plus 800.
I was about to say his money line number can't be very good for where he's priced at. It's got to be inside the distance somewhere.
Okay, for Cody Brundage to win by sub in round 1 or 2 is plus 900. What about?
Yeah,
I said 800. I was close.
Yeah, that was round 1 or 2. So his prop for round 1 only is plus 1,200.
Oh,
there
wow.
You go.
It's not bad.
There's your bet.
Yeah, take that, Jay. Call your cousin.
All right.
I might put a few shekels on
I just put $100 on plus 1,200.
Did you really?
Yeah, submit.
All right. Well, if you win, if you listen,
you guys see that submit right
That's
there?
his cousin's app. It's not real money.
No, that's real money right there. That's FanDuel. That's real money.
You could have bought like 10 new beanies with that $100, JSU.
I know.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
All right. Well, we'll move to the next fight. It's back to the women's division. I think only 2 women's fights on this card. Julia Avila, Miesha Tate. It is Avila who's the slight favorite here, sitting around minus 140 back to you, Mad Lab. What do you got for us here?
I'm a little confused with this fight. I got to be honest with you. I don't know why Miesha Tate's still fighting. I don't know. I think she's like a narcissist. Like she needs some kind of spotlight. She needs some kind of attention, and normally, I like my legends plays, dude. I'll always lean with like the older guy, the veteran. But with her, she just never translated, bro. Like everyone looks at her. This is another thing like we were talking about with Brundage. They look at her like a really good wrestler, right? But she was a really good wrestler for back then. Back then, she was a really good wrestler. Back then, she was a really good grappler. She's nothing to compare to what she was because the level of opposition has climbed so high. The same thing I say about Ronda Rousey all the time. Like, she was okay for back then. You put her in a cage now. Like, I heard she might be coming out of retirement to fight again. She would get fucking destroyed by the mid-tier of her division. It's a different game now. And I think the game passed Miesha Tate by. And I think a lot of people that's not registering with them. They're looking at when she fought Kat Zingano, when she fought these girls. But look what Kat Zingano does. I mean, she goes into, her fights in other circuits, and she's either winning against lower opposition or she's getting destroyed by average opposition, So I think this is one of those spots. Like I know Avila hasn't been active in a while. And I know she's also 35 years old, but she's got that new wave of MMA style, at least to her, where Miesha Tate is still leaning on her style from a decade ago. I just think it's a bad look. I mean, I know what the UFC is trying to do. They're trying to get her a win. They're trying to, push her off into the sunset, with a win or two under her belt. I still don't think it's the right spot for her. I really don't. I don't think there's many girls in the UFC that she can beat. I think the thing that carries her through is her toughness. One thing about her is she's really tough. Like, you know what I mean? She takes damage. She'll continue to come forward. She's not afraid to get bloody. But, so on a fight where I think Avila wins in probably a close decision, but she's 8,700. That's kind of a no play for me. Miesha Tate, I don't think she's going to win the fight. 7,500. It's kind of a no play for me. So it's kind of a fight that I'm really going to ignore and just sit back and watch it because it's hard to gauge, number one. And I don't think that there's really much value on the board for either girl.
Makes sense. We have seen some line movement in favor of Tate, especially over the last week or so, has gone from like plus 135 to the current plus 115 or so. So a little bit of movement there. JSU, your thoughts here on Avila and Tate?
Yeah, Avila, I think is going to come out with the win from a DFS perspective. I don't like this fight. I don't really want to target this fight. 8,700 for her. I'm just not paying for it. If you like the Tate side, I could see taking a shot, but I just don't like the Tate side. So I'm kind of staying away from this fight. Again, we're talking up a bunch of dogs, and we're going to get to a lot of fights where it's going to be a lot of live dogs. So I'm just going to wait till that fight. This is going to be a fade for me.
Yeah, kind of the way I lean with these two as well, Drew. I'm sure these will be two of the lower-owned fighters on the card. What do you got for these two?
Yeah, they are. So I actually would shy away from Tate and play Avila at the ownership for the if we think she's going to win just in general. But yeah, I got her at 21%, and I have Tate at 22%. So Tate a slightly higher owned dog at 7,500. Overall, though, I agree with JSU. I just don't like this fight. I have very little of both pieces. And honestly, I could probably just X this fight out, and I'm not really going to cry about it. So I side with Avila. I think I don't know if I have a bad number on somehow her number drops in round 3 to a pretty strong win in round 3, and maybe that's just a typo. But I think Avila is probably the winner here. It just probably doesn't score very well. So I'm going to fade this fight overall. And honestly, I might just go back in and X out all my Tate shares and just have a little bit of Avila.
Yeah, all four of us pretty low on this fight from a DFS perspective. One more fight on the prelims. It is the second biggest favorite on the card is Puna Sorano, minus 350 over Dustin Stolfus. Mad Lab, back to you. Big favorite, minus 350 here for Soriano. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, Soriano to me is in a good spot to, good pay up spot here. This is a kid who you got to look at paths, right? And when you look at Stolfus, you look at a guy who he's okay all the way around. Like he could do a little bit of everything, but he's like the jack of all trades, but he masters nothing. You know what I mean? So he doesn't really have that clear, decisive path. He never does. He's tough. His toughness sometimes outshines his actual durability. got decent striking. He's a good athlete. He's got some decent grappling. So like I said, he's not great at any one thing. So when you look at the direct path of who has a direct path, you got Sorano. He's got durability. He is tough. He's got a shitload of power. He's got good wrestling. Like, there's just so many different paths for him to win this fight. And I think he has a bad taste in his mouth from last fight. I really do. I think he's got a really bad taste in his mouth from his last fight. He's going to come out and he's going to try to finish this fight. And I think he does. So I don't mind paying up for Sorano in this spot. I mean, listen, barring he gets caught with something or he gets too reckless or he gets too cocky in there, you know what can happen. But I think he's a pretty good play on both ends of the spectrum from a cash game perspective and from a GPP perspective.
All right. Confident pick there in Soriano. What about you, JSU? Soriano, Stolfus?
Yeah, it was his last fight against Kopylov, and you watch that fight. The only thing that worried me about that fight, it wasn't that he got finished. It wasn't that Kopylov pieced him up even. It was that he looked tired in the first round after 2 minutes. After the first round, you saw him breathing heavy. And that was a little worrisome to me. But I think Kopylov was just giving him so many problems. He was struggling with those inside leg kicks. It was really limiting his power. And Kopylov's got a chin, and he was taking – I mean, he hit Kopylov a few times, pretty good. And he just kind of ate it and kept going and then was just piecing him up with the jab. So I think this is a different fight. I think this is a fight Soriano can definitely get the finish in. And I think he's going to hunt the finish. That's my only worry is he hunts it and then he gets kind of tired and stuff. But I don't think it's going to be where he's getting pieced up like last fight. So I think his power will still be there later if he doesn't get the early finish. And I do think he gets it done.
Yes, me too. Probably via KO, right? Soriano, that's how he finishes most of his fights. I do kind of like the numbers on that prop. We are missing Drew, so we'll come back to him. Oh, there he is.
There he is. He had to fucking put a little extra fucking swab.
By the way, the 12-1 Brundage prop was KO, so I fixed it. I got the 15-1 for submission. I just want to say that because
what did you cover? You covered all bases.
No, I didn't mean to bet the 12-1, so I cashed out the 12-1 and put it on the 15-1 on the submission prop. I just did it by accident. I thought it said submission, and submission was right under it, but the submission was 15-1.
I feel like by the time this card locks, JSU is going to have a small used car riding on Cody Brundage.
Oh God.
Yo, it all makes sense now. Like, as soon as he made that bet, he disappeared, bro. He probably went to make a fucking quick phone call. He's like, "Look, bro, I'm going to give you 20% if you win, guaranteed."
I think you would pick your stomach had to throw up after you bet.
I had to feed my dog.
Drew, what do you got for the numbers for Soriano and Stolfus?
Yeah, I got Soriano at 32%, and I have Stolfus at 14%. So yeah, I don't really. Not going to play much Stolfus here. I think Soriano is obviously in a really good spot. 31%. It's again, I struggle to spread out the 9K guys, but I'll be slightly underweight the field, but still over 20%. So probably 22 to 25% for Soriano. Again, it's just a price thing. 9,400. I mean, if you're going to really go in on one of these 9K fighters, you're going to have to make a pretty strong stand. Otherwise, you're just kind of mix and matching. So I think Soriano wins here, likely inside the distance via KO. So 9,400 Soriano would be my pick, and honestly, it's just slightly underweight the field. Unfortunately, there's some other stands I'll talk about here shortly, but yeah, the 9K is just you're trying to hit a ceiling so much, and if you just put all your eggs in one basket on some of these 9K fighters, you could have the winner score 110, and it's not enough when another one scores 135 or something. So I try to mix and match a little bit on these expensive 9K guys.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's get to the main card. I think it's a really fun one. I like all 5 fights to some degree on the main card. First one we'll talk about, kicking us off, Clay Guida, who just keeps going. It's ridiculous how long this guy has been fighting in the UFC. He is a pretty sizable underdog here, though, plus 275 or so against Joaquim Silva. Guida has alternated wins and losses for his last 8 fights. So if you want to follow that pattern, he is due for a win here. Kind of makes sense, honestly, for a guy like Clay Guida. Mad Lab, you talked about some upsets you might have for us on the main card, and maybe the first one here with Guida and Silva. Talk to us about this one.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see Guida pulling off an upset here, and you know, and it's not so much that I'm super high on Guida, and like I said, I know he's going to be 42 years old soon, but the fact of the matter is you got to look at the styles, and you got to look at the matchups, and you got to look at how these guys historically fight. When you look at Neto BJJ, this is a guy they call him Neto BJJ. Why? Because his BJJ is great, but he really doesn't use it all that much. He uses it as needed. The guy looks to take your head off. The guy comes in, his energy expenditure is terrible from the use of his actual conditioning. If he doesn't finish you, he completely gasses out. Like that's it. He looks like a different fighter coming off the stool if he doesn't finish you. Guida, on the flip side, what is he known for? He's known for this endless gas tank where he just keeps he just keeps coming forward and coming forward. But what is he also known for? He's also known for getting crazy in that first or second round, taking a sloppy shot, getting caught in a gilly, and getting submitted. So, like, both of these guys have all these crazy paths to win. Guida's the type of guy, though, in this fight where, like, if he can stay clean, this is an opportunity, guys. Like, if you guys are betting these fights, this is a perfect live betting opportunity. This is a fight you completely stay away from out of the gate, and you see how high octane Silva comes out. If he comes out like a bat out of hell and puts everything into this, maybe puts Guida in some bad positions and doesn't finish him, but expends a lot of energy, you can expect him to come out, you know, like Neto BJJ, the B version or the C version, and that's when Guida can start really taking over with his awkward movement and his. So it's a tough fight. I see a clear path for Guida to possibly win this fight, you know, if this gets out of the first round. So 7,100 to me interests me a little bit, but you do got to understand you're running a risk of him getting subbed like in the first round. So it could be it's kind of all or nothing with him, but it's kind of the same thing with Silva, right? Kind of all or nothing because of his price tag at 9,100. So you got to play this one kind of both ways, just for the mere fact that Guida is live in this fight. Like, I don't care that he's 42. It's just the way these guys match up. So I'm highly interested in having some ownership in Guida. And just because of the upside of Silva possibly getting that first round finish, you can't ignore that either.
Yeah, it makes sense. And if Guida does get the win here, JSU, I mean, for one, he's cheap enough at 7,100. He does allow you to get those 9K guys in there. And two, you know, if the fight kind of goes like Mad Lab expects, where you see Silva kind of gas out in the second and third round, you could see Guida with, you know, a few takedowns. Maybe he's able to kind of get there via volume if Silva can't put up much defense. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, Guida's a big dog, but, yeah, if you want to fit in the expensive guys, you're going to need one or two of those. Your thoughts, JSU, Silva, and Guida?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Mad Lab broke it down pretty good. You know, Walking Silva is one of those guys where, you know, like he said, he puts everything into his shots. He's athletic. He looks the part. Like, this guy comes in, he's trying to take you. He wobbled Tsaryuken in that fight. Like, he's got power. You know, he can get this thing done early. So that's the question is, does he get it done early to cover his price tag? Because if he doesn't get it done in the first round, he's not one of those guys where you're not going to get a ton of takedowns or control time or anything like that. So he needs to kind of do it via knockdowns, you know, and stuff like that to get a ton of points if he's getting out of that first round. So how does he score well in DraftKings? You need, I think, that first round finish for him to score well. Can he get it done? Yeah, he could get it done in the first round, but I'm just saying, like, if it gets out of the first round, well, Clay Guida's good at being able to stay in it and to kind of keep going as fighters start to go the other way. So I could see him, you know, edging out a decision win or something like that, winning the second and third round. But, you know, this is a close fight. I think it's closer than the odds too suggest. So, you know, I think it's a fight for DFS. I would be more dog or pass than Silva because I just don't know if Silva's going to get it done in the first round to cover his price tag is more what I'm worried about. So, yeah, I'm lighter on these two guys, but I get having some interest in Guida for DraftKings perspective because if he does score, you know, 80 or something like that in DraftKings at that price tag, you're probably going to want him. So, yeah, for Silva, I think he ranks fourth for me in the 9K guys. If I had to rank him, I think he's fourth in that list, just because he you know, he still is live to get it done. I just don't know if he's going to get it done that early.
How about this line, Mad Lab? Guida to win via split decision plus 1,600.
I don't mind that at all because I can see if it goes to the cards, I could see Silva putting it on him in the first round.
Right.
I could see that swing round. It's very close to the second
and then
round.
Guida wins the third, right?
And then Guida runs roughshod on him in the third.
Yeah. I might. It's on DraftKings. Might take a stab on that one. Drew, what do you have for the numbers between these two?
Yeah, I got Silva at 30%, and I have Guida at 14%. So I'm going to be overweight on Guida actually in this spot at 7,100. He's going to be the second lowest owned of anybody on the card pretty much. And at 7,100, he opens up a lot you can do with the 9K range. So I'm still going to have some Silva. I got him around 25%, so just underweight the field. But like I said, Guida is my favorite dog. I think honestly, there's a pretty good chance at the price too. Like there's some dogs that are like $500-600 more expensive with that you're going to pay a price from an ownership perspective. So Guida is my favorite, 7,100. And then I think Silva's just worth a sprinkle. You can honestly probably X him out, and it's not going to kill you. But I do like Guida quite a bit, and I'll probably bet that side as well. I like that split decision bet.
I like that a lot, actually, a lot.
Yeah.
All right,
was that on DK draft heat? Was that on DK?
Yeah, DK. Yep.
We got up, JSU. Give us the small vehicle.
JSU, go ahead and parlay the plus 1,500 Brundage.
All right.
That'll get you a big vehicle.
I might do it.
I love spending JSU's money. It's fun. It's more better than my own.
We are in a tipping economy, right? A tipping.
You know, when I was doing my blueprint for my bets, there was a couple times where I was close, and I never do that, but I was close to pulling triggers on like some dog parlays, dude. Like there's some situations where I could see like if you find the right guys, the right formula, you can hit a really good dog parlay today.
Yeah, I'm with you. Some big numbers out there that I will certainly be hitting after the show. Let's move to the next fight on the card. Another good one, I think. Two UFC veterans, Kevin Gastelum, Sean Brady. Brady coming off the first loss of his MMA career, now 15-1. Before that, had won I think 5 or 6 fights in the UFC. Gastelum, a good fighter as well. I think different styles here, Mad Lab, and one that I could see going either way. Very closely aligned. It is Brady, slight favorite, sitting around -120 at the moment. Kelvin Gastelum, Sean Brady. Talk to us, Mad Lab.
Yeah, so when you look at this 8,200, 8,000, a lot of people are saying, wow, this is because it's a really close fight. Like that's what but you can't look at it that way. You got to look at it this way, especially for these styles in this fight, because they don't know which style is going to prevail. I don't think this is going to be a close fight for whoever gets their style to work. If Brady gets his grappling to work, he's going to win this fight. If Gastelum can keep this on the feet, he's going to win this fight. And I don't think it'll be particularly close on either side. I think we'll be coming into either a decision or these guys have upside for a finish. But if it goes to the cards, you'll probably say it was a clear Brady win or it was a clear Gastelum win. They got their style to work. The thing that people got to understand is Gastelum is still a young guy. Like he's not he's been here for a while. Don't get me wrong. He's been here for a while. He was a welterweight. The last time he fought in welterweight was in 2016. The reason why he jumped up because he was missing weight, and everybody was the big knock on him was the guy's not disciplined. He's not disciplined. All the talent in the world, but he just wasn't disciplined. He comes up to middleweight. He does good at middleweight. We saw the war he had with what the fuck is his name? With Izzy, and he's had his spots. But he's another guy who sometimes he fights up or down to the level of the opposition that he fights. Sean Brady concerns me, man. You're not supposed to get knocked out by Belal Muhammad. I don't care how tired you are. I don't care what your conditioning, what ailments you have. Belal Muhammad is not supposed to fucking knock you out. The guy has pillows in his fucking hands. That's a concern for me because that means when Brady gets tired, his legs completely go on him. Completely go on him. Do I think Brady's a good fighter coming from that whole Philly background? Yeah, they got some great guys in there. Do I think he's a good fighter? Yeah, but that fight really concerned me. When you're fighting a guy in that Gastelum now who looks, I've never seen him look like this at welterweight. Like he looks completely dialed in. He didn't get sucked down. He was on the scale smiling. And this dude hits with a ton of fucking bricks. He's got a lot of veteran savvy in there. He's still fairly young. This is a guy, honestly, who I think he can knock fucking Brady out. Like I really do. I think there's a situation where if Brady does not get his grappling going, or if Gastelum really just worked on his takedown defense because he can be taken down. We've seen him taken down numerous times. Or he allows him to kind of grapple him a little bit. He sells him that false sense of security where I'm going to let you grapple me, but I'm going to stay safe enough where you're going to expend all your fucking energy trying to get a submission on me, trying to take my back. And then when we come back, all fights start on the feet in every round. First, second, and third. Gastelum's always going to have that upside to catch him with something, rock him with something, and take his legs out. So, very close fight. It's really who do you believe in? Do you believe in the grappling of Brady, or do you believe in the new, born welterweight in Gastelum? I'm on the Gastelum side here. Like I am. I think Gastelum wins this fight. I think he has the higher upside for a finish too, because he's so fucking durable. I don't see Brady finishing him. We've seen Brady finished by fucking Bilal fucking Muhammad. You know what I mean? So, like, from a DraftKings perspective, the value side to me is Brady, is Gastelum. But if Brady gets his wrestling going and gets that control time, it can still rack up a lot of points. So there's value on both sides here. This is a fight you guys can't ignore. I just have a slighter lean on Gastelum.
Yeah, makes sense. Good breakdown there from Mad Lab for Gastelum, Brady. I agree with all that. I do expect. Well, I just think it's a hard fight to pick, JSU. I do agree that whoever wins this fight, you're going to look, at the end of the fight and say, man, the line wasn't right for this. One of these fighters should have been minus 250 or so. But saying who that is, I think is a much more difficult task. Your thoughts, JSU?
Well, watching two things. Watching the scale with Gastelum and how good he looked, like Mad Lab said. At best he's looked. And then watching Bilal Muhammad knock out Brady leads me to the exact thing that Mad Lab's talking about, which is I think Gastelum knocks Sean Brady out. And honestly, Gastelum this dude is really good. He's got power. Like Brady, he's a good fighter too. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter, but man, when you get knocked out by Bilal like that, and you come in and I don't know if he can't get that wrestling game going. I think he's like that spells end. So what you guys were saying about like this being one of those fights where at the end of the day, one guy's going to look great and one guy's going to look horrible is probably right on point. And I got the Gastelum side, so I'm higher on him for DraftKings. This is a good fight for DraftKings though, because like Mad Lab said, if Brady does win, you kind of hope it's honestly via decision or late finish, and he gets the control time in the takedown. So, yeah, whatever way you see it going, I see it going the Gastelum way. This dude's fought a lot of really good fighters, even though he's not as old as you would think. And I'm going that way. I think he knocks Sean Brady out.
Like it. Drew, I assume this is another one where we've got similar ownership numbers between Brady and Gastelum. What do you have for the numbers on this?
Pretty close. Yeah, I got Brady at 25%. I have Gastelum at 21.5%. So yeah, really, really close fight and close ownership to go with it. As of now, I'm pretty heavy on Brady. I'm close to 40% Brady. I do have about 20% Gastelum, but like Brady, I think is the spot to kind of go overweight. There's only a few spots that I have that I'm going a little bit overweight, and yeah, Brady, I think on the ground, I think the points can rack up if it is a submission win. Obviously, with some control time and stuff like that, 8,200 probably has a higher ceiling. So, yeah, Brady is probably my pick to win 8,200, and certainly from a DFS perspective, I think the ceiling's a bit higher. So I'll lean Brady here.
Yo, one more thing, DC. There's no CH in Gastelum. It's not Gastelum.
Well. If we're gonna call me out for pronunciations for that little thing, then you're just gonna have to correct me on every single fighter because I butcher.
Wait till the Saudi card.
Gastelum.
All right. Well, apologies, Mad Lab.
Gastelum.
Yeah, he says it with a CH. Gastelum.
Listen, these fighters' names are not easy to pronounce, so I'm back on DC's side. I can't even make fun
it's
of them.
Fucking spelled, bro. It's said the way it's spelled.
I understand.
There's some other names you can nitpick for sure.
Yeah.
That was probably mild compared to the.
Gonna get me all self-conscious for the final three fights, hoping I deliver on some of these names. So
pronounce Jalen Turner correctly.
Let me know, Mad Lab, if I pronounced one syllable halfway wrong. I'd love to be corrected again. Next fight on the card, Rob Font. Good. Can I get a
you're good.
Yeah, all right. Davison Figueiredo,
Yeah,
Font minus 125. Figueiredo moving up weight classes, right? After the 4 fights with Moreno. I thought he looked like much more alive on the scales than he did in any of those fights. So I'm looking forward to seeing Figueiredo at this new weight class. And then the pricing discrepancies between these two on DraftKings is kind of weird, right? But yeah, I'm not sure why Font's so much more expensive than Figueiredo given the line. But talk to us, Mad Lab, Figueiredo, Font. What do you got?
Yeah, Figueiredo's coming up in obviously from flyweight to bantamweight, but it's a good thing. Like, how many times does this guy struggle to make weight? You know what I mean? And it's when you talk about translating power and things translating up, you're kind of talking when you guys are going from middleweight to fucking light heavyweight or light heavyweight to heavyweight. Like, these guys, Figueiredo has really good power for the flyweight division that he doesn't belong in. So him coming up to bantamweight's not a big deal. But I don't agree with the pricing. That I'll tell you, I don't agree with the pricing, but I do agree with the side. I think Rob Font, people look at him as chinny, because he can be right. And yes, he can be put down to the canvas, but this guy's never been finished by KO. That's what a lot of people don't understand, which means he's got a very good recovery time. When you look at the volume that this guy throws out, it's incredible. I mean, this guy just keeps his jab out there for 15 minutes, keeps throwing. His volume never stops. Figueiredo is not as disciplined when it comes to his striking. He's very loopy. He throws very looping punches. He leaves that whole center line open that, Font can really just sit there and tag him. He's going to be the longer fighter. He's going to be the rangier fighter. Figueiredo's path to victory here is he's going to have to probably grapple, or he's going to have to catch him with something. And I'm not really sold that Figueiredo's going to go 15 minutes in a grappling match with Rob Font. I think Rob Font literally, especially from the first round when you guys have to feel each other out a little bit, I think like almost by default, he wins round 1 because he's going to just stick behind his jab and Figueiredo's going to try to feel it out. Then he's got to literally just win 1 round after that, So I like Rob Font here. I think there is some small upside that maybe he can get a finish. He does crack. I think Figueiredo's path to victory, like I said, he's got to be successful with the grappling, which I'm super not sold on yet. Or he's got to catch him with something. And that's not a direct path for me, where Font has that direct path. If he works behind his jab, if he utilizes the real estate of the cage, he can kind of coast to a decision against Figueiredo and really frustrate him. So I do like the side. I just don't like the price. $8,800 is kind of ludicrous for me. It's more value on Figueiredo if you're looking for that flash knockout. So I'm not going to have a ton of exposure on this fight, but I do agree that Font's the right side.
Yeah, JSU Font has scored, for the most part, really well in his wins. Almost all of them over 100 DraftKings points. So we'll get the numbers in a second here from Drew. But I'm guessing Font will be fairly low owned, given that he's not all that big of a favorite and he's priced up at 8,800, close to that 9K range that has minus 300 plus favorites. So, interesting dynamic with the pricing. Your thoughts on Font and Figueiredo, JSU?
Yeah, the only thing that I'll just throw out there for a lot of the scores that we're looking at is a lot of them were 5-round decisions. You know what I mean? So we gotta make sure that's said. And then the one fight against Yanez, where obviously everyone was on Yanez, except for this guy. Rob Font put him out. He had the knockdown. He put him out early. So he scored well because it was the first round. But like, that's the one thing. Like 8,800, I agree with Madlab from a pricing standpoint. All the value has to be on Figueiredo. I love Rob Font. I think he's a really, really well-rounded fighter. I know Sandhagen took him down. What was he, 7 of 7 with takedowns and stuff like that? And he was just outmatched. You know what I mean? Sandhagen saw the clear advantage he had, and he took it and rode it to victory. Just absolute easy victory. But Rob Font is still, he's not that easy to take down. Not everyone can do that is the point. So can Figgy come in and do that to him, or like make it that type of match where he grapples not 5 rounds, but 3 rounds with him is the question. If you think he can, then Figgy's 100% live in this fight. If it's a standing though, then it's Rob Font all day. So it's one of those things. Where do you lean? I do feel like Rob Font edges out the victory probably, but for DFS, I'm probably more on the Figgy side.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. Drew, I assume Figueiredo will be the higher owned guy here, even though he is the dog in this fight. You don't see that all that often, but it surely must be the case in this fight, right?
It is, yeah. The lines are relatively close for the difference in the price. So I have Font at 20% and Figueiredo at 31%. So yeah, Figueiredo I think is fine as a filler, but you're paying a price from an ownership perspective, not a price from a salary perspective.
Yeah.
I think Font's price actually presents a good opportunity from a leverage spot at 8,800. I mean, he's 10% lower than like any of the fighters above him or below him for the most part, besides Avila. So I actually like Font a little bit from a tournament perspective. I think optimally you don't play Font in any type of cash lineup or anything like that. But in tournaments, man, I actually like Font quite a bit. I think he provides a lot of leverage off of the chalkier names with better inside the distance numbers from Vegas. Font likely doesn't finish inside the distance, but I think at 8,800 he still has an opportunity to get enough significant strikes. If it goes to the ground, maybe he can flip the table. But I think Font is the leverage side here at 8,800. Again, optimally, it doesn't make sense to pay up for that price. But Figueiredo, you're paying a price. I mean, 30% for a dog is up there. So I'll be underweight Figueiredo, but he's fine as well.
All right, 2 more fights to get to. We get a late replacement, Jalen Turner, going to take on Bobby Green. Turner sitting around minus 175 or so. He was like minus 250 or so a week or so ago. I think people may be worried about the weight cut. Turner, it's crazy that he can get down to that 155 weight limit. It did take him a couple opportunities, but yeah, he did get there in the end, down to 156. And I've been a fan of Jalen Turner for a long time. I don't know. I have a little bit of a weird feeling about this spot personally for Turner. Mad Lab, interested to hear your thoughts, Turner, Bobby Green.
Yeah, there's a part of me, I don't know why I feel this way, but there's a part of me that Turner is playing this role a little bit. You know what I mean? I think listen, I know he's 6'3". I know making 155 is fucking brutal. I don't give a fuck if you have a full camp or not. But there's something that I almost feel like he's trying to sell Green a little false sense of security here with playing this whole thing. I mean, he made weight. Did he look great on the scale? No, but he never looks great on the scale. Yeah. I mean, the guy never looked. Bringing up the whole thing with the UFC, they made me take this fight. I didn't want to take this fight. Like, you're not just coming out and saying these things. Like everything, even when he was walking up to the ceremonial, standoff, he was like walking real slow and sloggy. It's almost like he's playing into this role a little bit too much. And then all of a sudden he's going to come out and he's going to look like completely healthy. So I don't know. Green is a very tricky guy to fight. He's all over the place. He doesn't go north or south or east and west. He's kind of diagonal with, his movements and stuff like that. He's on a run, but he's a guy too, where I can never like fully get behind Green. There's certain spots where you got to jump behind them, but there's spots where you're like, can I trust him? Can I not trust him? So it's a very untrustworthy spot with both, sides, because if Turner's not playing this up and he really is fucking, going to fade out because of the cut, then Green's going to take over later in the fight. But there's something that tells me, I don't know, that Turner's going to come in and he's going to fucking literally just put it on him. He's going to Green's not going to be able to find the range with him. If Green decides to take him down, Turner has very tricky grappling. He's got them long limbs. He could snatch things up in positions where normal people can't, because he's got these long legs and he's got these long, he can cover a lot of real estate on the ground. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you'll know within like the middle of the second round if Turner really starts to fade, if this affected him or not. But I think he's playing up to this a little bit too much. I think he's trying to sell people this whole thing where, I'm fucking beat up, I'm tired, I'm I didn't want to fight, and then he's going to come in, he's going to be completely clocked in. So I'm leaning Turner here, but I don't have a real good grasp on this fight. I think there's a big question mark on both ends here.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel that it could go either way. And this is another one where maybe like the Gastelum and Brady fight, where after the fact, I think the line is going to look wrong, right? I think Turner this fight could be over and you're like, man, Turner should have been a huge favorite. You just completely owned him, got the sub. Or it could go the other way where Turner just doesn't have it and Green puts it on him with the striking. So kind of torn. I'll probably have exposure to both these guys in DFS. JSU, your thoughts, Green and Turner?
Yeah, my thoughts. I think that Jalen Turner is gonna whoop Bobby Green, and I think Bobby Green. The whole thing with Bobby is
fucking the whole thing with Bobby, like you know him.
We saw him in 2 fights where he beat Tony Ferguson in the 3rd round, and everyone's like, "Oh, he looked great. Oh, he looked." It took him 3 rounds to fucking end Tony Ferguson, who's 800 years old and looks like crap. All right, so I don't put that as a great win. I think it was terrible, and he got lucky, even finished him there just because you rolled into it almost. But either way, so he beats Tony Ferguson, who's 800 in the 3rd round. Took him 3 rounds, and it should have went to the cards really. And then after that, he knocks out Grant Dawson, who got chinned by Madsen. And we're all like, oh, my God, like Bobby Green, he knocked out Grant Dawson. Like, Dawson sucks on the feet. He knocked him out. It's fine, whatever. Now he's fighting Jalen Turner. Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner, that fight, you watch that fight. Those 2 guys both beat the crap out of Bobby Green. I don't care what anyone says. Dan Hooker would have done it. Jalen Turner's going to do it. Jalen Turner hit Dan Hooker with so many things that like most human beings go down with. And Dan Hooker kept moving forward. Yeah. There's broken arms in the fight. Like, I'm sorry. I get the love with Bobby Green. I get it. He's like a fun, like he keeps moving forward. He doesn't like to take. I don't think he should even shoot for takedowns. I think that's a bad idea because honestly, when guys shoot against Jalen Turner is when he snatches shit up. That's when he catches you almost in that. So I think that's a bad idea to even try the takedowns. I don't think he will, though. He wants to stand. He doesn't want to go for takedowns anyways. He wants to stand and trade. I think he's going to get caught, man, or he's just going to get fucked up for 3 rounds, one or the other. So I like Jalen Turner. I don't like Bobby Green. I get the weight cut and missing weight and not looking good on the scales, whatever. I think Jalen Turner's the better fighter at the end of the day. I think he's got more paths. Yeah, Bobby's going to become a decision fighter here, unless Jalen Turner just gasses out, which I don't think happens, but who knows with everything that's going on.
That's the confidence I needed, JSU, to get back on my boy Jalen Turner. Well, I'll ride with you.
Get on him, baby. Get on him.
I'll ride on the Turner train with you. You talked me into it. Drew, what do you got for ownership between Turner and Green?
I got Turner at 33%, and I have Green at 20%. I like this fight in general. I like Bobby Green at the price as a dog. I'm overweight the field by a good bit there, and then Jalen Turner as well. I think honestly the numbers for Jalen Turner at the price are comparable to some of the 9K fighters for inside the distance, round 1 and round 2. You know, if he wins via knockout or even submission, like his submission number in round 2 is pretty good. So yeah, I think this is a fantastic fight to target. I have a little bit more faith in Bobby Green, at least in DFS at the price. 7,600 is pretty juicy. So yeah, again, the finish off the fights for tonight, these last couple fights are going to be big for DFS. So yeah, I lean Jalen Turner for the win, but Bobby Green DFS is where I'm going to actually be a little bit overweight.
Makes sense. That's Turner and Green. Let's get to the main event. Third biggest favorite is Arman Tsaryuken, sitting around -300 over Beneil Dariush. Mad Lab will go back to you for this one. What do you got, Dariush and Tsaryuken?
First, the one thing that I got to honestly say that concerns me a little bit about this fight, and it's a small concern, but it is a concern. Tsaryuken is completely overlooking Dariush, and for him to go up to Bobby Green and have a tussle with him, it shows where is your mind. Like, you should not be worrying about fucking Bobby Green right now. You got a guy.
What was that about? I don't even know what
he said. He said he was talking shit about him. Big fucking deal. You got a fight coming up. I mean, you got a main event coming up. You're worried about who's talking shit about you. You know, so it's almost like his mind. He's almost looking past this fight already. Like, he's almost looking past this fight already. And I have these spots a lot where I say how soon people forget. And I love them because it's a lot of the general consensus, a lot of like the casuals and stuff, like when they overlook Robert Whitaker and they overlook fucking Izzy Adesanya and they overlook and they all jumped onto Yuri and they forget all these little things. Like how soon you forget that Poatan came from a world-class kickboxing background. How soon you forget Bobby Knuckles was fucking who he was before he had one loss. Same thing with Kelvin Gastelum. Does everyone not understand that Dariush was a fucking favorite just one fight ago against Chucky Olives? He was a fucking favorite. He was a -140 favorite against Chucky Olives. And everybody is fucking jumping off this guy, which is completely bizarre to me. This line is completely fucking out of whack. I mean, it's completely out of whack. There's no way that Tsaryuken should be 9,200 in this spot, and there's no way that he should be in the. What the fuck are you laughing at? What is he like? You don't agree with me, right? I know you don't agree with me. We'll get to that.
How do you know anything about what I'm saying?
Because I know.
You have no fucking idea what I'm gonna say, Mad Lab.
All right, so
you have no idea.
I like Tsaryuken. I like him a lot. I think he came onto the map when he had the fight with Islam Makhachev, when he literally gave Makhachev all that he can handle. You know what I mean? But there are spots in Tsaryuken's game where he can be chin checked. Like this guy has been chin checked before. He's still young. He's still raw. He still has a lot to learn. I think he's feeling himself a little bit too much in this fight, and I think he's overlooking Dariush. Dariush is good everywhere. This guy's got a nasty kickboxing background. This guy is one of the best no-gi grapplers around that nobody knows. He's got a no-gi world championship in 3 different divisions. Divisions. Outside, the only one he doesn't have a black belt in is because no way. What did he say? No, what did he say? No way Sadiq Youssef loses today. Sadiq Youssef.
No, it was someone asked why Sadiq Youssef was on the thumbnail. Who gives a shit who's on the thumbnail?
You stay focused, man. We'll handle the chat. You stay focused on
you focused on you, man.
So anyway, this guy's got a nasty grappling background. He had a really bad showing against Chuck Yalov. So the only thing that concerns me here with him is he another Cowboy Cerrone? Is he a guy where we wait for him to get his big shot? He goes on an 8-fight winning streak, and then he gets this big spot, and he ends up fucking choking and shit in the bed. He was winning that fight against Charles Oliveira before he got finished. He was winning that fight. His chin does concern me a little bit. Tsaryuken's age, can really put it onto him. But I'm telling you right now, I got a feeling here that Dariush wins this fight. I really, really do. I think Dariush wins this fight. I think he's got to drag it into a little bit of a deep setting. And he's got to utilize his scrambling ability to not grapple with Tsaryuken, to get back to his feet. He's got the scrambling ability. He's got the grappling ability. And the one thing about Dariush is if you show any sort of being tired, this dude's going to fucking take your back and he's not going to let you go. You know what I mean? So I'm going Dariush in this spot, dude. I'm going with the fucking dog here, the big dog here. I think Dariush gets this one fucking done. I think Tsaryuken's really overlooking him in this spot. The fuck are you laughing at now, Drew?
I just realized Brandon Benair put up a comment. It looks like you're holding a little fan, just fanning your face.
Who McNair, what this I've been reading his comments. What cock did you wake up in your mouth today that you keep coming in on me? It's like you have a fucking cock and you didn't get the balls in your mouth. What is it with you today?
I just realized though, it looks like a fan. You're just fanning yourself. You're just so hot and bothered on your fan.
I've been reading the comments the whole time. It's like he's got my penis in his mouth.
Oh
God.
He's a great troll. Benair's a great troll. Tremendous troll by Benair right there. I do like the fan comment though. It does kind of look like
it's like a fan, like you're at Disney World.
All right, I guess it's finally my turn to talk now. After
post a picture of yourself on your profile picture, you fucking nerd.
All right.
I don't know what to say. I just didn't want to.
I don't even know if I should talk about the fight or if I should let Mad down.
He's probably fucking 5'0", 100. He's probably got fucking nipples that hit the floor. He's fucking coming in on me. All right, let's go, JC. Let me hear you break down.
All right, I hate this fight. I hate this fight, and there's one reason I hate this fight is because I think Beneil Dariush wins this fight, and I hate saying it because I want to pick my Armenian brother Armin, but I don't think he gets this done. And the reason why I don't think he gets it done is because Armin's game is predicated on getting every fight pretty much to the ground. He wants to overwhelm you with the wrestling, and I just don't know if that is going to happen. I mean, you watch the Gamrot fight with Dariush, and everyone's forgetting since he lost to Charles Oliveira, which shouldn't be that big of a deal. Like it shouldn't, because Charles Oliveira is amazing. And like Madlab said, he was winning the fight before it was over. But you watch the Gamrot fight, he defended he 19 takedowns Gamrot shot on Dariush, and he got 4 of them. Think about that, like 4 of them. And I know Armin is great there too, but man, what if what if he's putting out that volume and he gasses out because he's trying to shoot and shoot and shoot and get it there. And we've seen him get wobbled on the feet. I think this is a fight where Dariush could win a decision where he keeps this standing enough to win out in the end against Arman. I think, like Madlab said, I think it's a little wide. I think there's a lot of love on Arman, and I understand that he's got that amazing path. But what happens when that path is shut down? What happens when Dariush stuffs a lot of those takedowns? And if that happens, I think Arman's in trouble, man. He could get finished too, as crazy as that sounds. So I'm on the dog. Unfortunately, I hate being on the dog, but I do think the dog is the play here.
Why do you hate being on the
7K
dog?
for DraftKings. What?
Why?
Because I want Arman to win. I'm rooting.
I thought I was like, why do you hate Dariush so much?
I don't hate Dariush. I want Arman to win because I'm rooting for him, but I just don't think he wins. I really think Dariush wins this fight. So, I tried to find ways to sell myself on Arman. I think everyone just thinks he's going to have this wrestling back game, and I just don't think he's going to do it. I think if Dariush can do that to Gamrot, I think he can do it to Arman.
I literally thought you were going the other way, and I was going to ask you to do a shoey bet with me. Fuck.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, I do actually.
Listen,
yeah.
If you guys are,
you know what, Be There, fuck you, Be There, get out of here. Ridiculous! Don't ever say that to me again.
I'll be riding the dog train plus 245 on DraftKings is Dariush.
No.
If Madlab's picking a dog outright at plus 245,
Drew's favorite is Arman. He was gonna watch.
He is. So now I got a shoey.
All right,
I
let's go. Me and you, Drew. Me and you, shoey bet next week.
Fuck. I mean, I have to. I have a lot of Arman.
you can't say no.
All right.
No, I can't say no.
Me and Drew, shoey bet next week. Shake on it, dude.
Take your hand off that fan.
Shake? What the fuck? What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Shake.
That was a low moment in the show's history right there.
That was the lowest moment in the show's history. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut that one off from the show and end the show a little bit early.
Mad Lab, say something about someone's small penis in the chat or something like that. Get us back going here. Call somebody out.
No, I'm done with fucking McNair. McNair, he's fucking. When we get off this show, he's gonna fucking go into his bathroom, sit on his toilet, and jerk off to my fucking face. He'll probably watch a rerun of this while he's doing it.
I do love how he calls him McNair because everyone knows that it's B-Nair in the chat. And he doesn't. Mad Lab doesn't know this, but like McNair is his last name. I do love that he calls him McNair. I might start calling you McNair now. It sounds better than B-Nair.
Who else can I bust on? Who else do I want to fucking bust on? Somebody say something about me.
You're
So
right.
you like your red.
No,
you like
all
your
I
red
know
hoodie.
is, God, listen, McNair, I'm busting your balls, by the way. I'm not, I don't want you jerking off to me on camera.
Drew, give us the numbers here, Tsaryuken and Dariush.
Yeah, I got Tsaryuken at 48%. I mean, he's going to probably be 50% plus in some contests. Again, 5-round fight, strong money line number, everything in between. So Tsaryuken is definitely going to be pretty popular. Dariush, I have at 23%. So just a 5-round dog. He's going to be moderately owned. But if you go overweight, if you guys think he's going to win, it's a good opportunity, obviously. But yeah, for me, I got Arman at 9,200. Man, I struggle. 5 rounds, I have a lot. So yeah, this will definitely be a shoey bet. I'm at 75% now. I thought about just locking them in for 50 lineups and just running it, but I did have some Dariush, so that was my only angle was to X out Dariush, have none, and play Tsaryuken. But then if I'm going to have a shoey bet, might as well just take out Dariush. That's my hedge. So
What size shoe are you, Drew?
10. I round up.
Oh, fuck out of here. So so if I lose, I got to do a 13, and you got to do a 9.5.
No, 10. I'm really 10.
All right.
Not 9.5.
We got shoey bets on the line for this card.
Madlab's so mad. He's like, what the fuck?
No, I'm not mad. I'm only busting McNair's balls. If he doesn't know my personality, that's his fucking problem.
Oh, McNair. He says I'm a.
Oh, McNair, you're 13. So, McNair, you're six. What you say? You're 6'2" or something. You're 200 pounds. I'm 6'2", 260. I got a size 13. So it's an even match. If you're in California, we could have a grappling match.
He said he's going to tap you out in the first round and get the quick win bonus on DraftKings.
Well, listen, if you're in California, we can. I could set up the tripod. We could film a friendly grappling match and post it on the show.
I think McNair's either a New York or Jersey guy.
I'll be in. Hey, listen, McNair. I'm from New York. I'll be in New York for 10 days on Christmas break.
Because he's a Giants fan.
I'll be in Bergen County, New Jersey. If you want to set up a grappling match at my friend's gym.
I hope that happens. I'll just leave
so Mad Lab won't fight the Brazilians with ice cream and kicks his door, but he's going to fight this guy in New York and travel across the country for it.
That is funny, actually. No, literally, where's this comment? You know how hard it is to get Mad Lab into a Discord?
Bullshit. Let me explain something.
Just to get him on the show is tough.
This dude can't figure it out how to accept an invite into Discord.
Listen. I have to message these guys every fucking week like children. Guys, send me the link. Guys, send me the link. I can't get into the Discord. I tried for some reason. I don't know why I can't get in. And I don't want, what's this? And then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to hear all the hate. Everyone hating on me.
What do you mean? No, everyone loves you. What are you talking about? No one hates on you.
I'm going to come in.
Yeah, what the hell?
Flex on being there. He's in there all the time. You love it.
There's never any Mad Lab hate in our Discord.
No, never.
Get the fuck out of here with that. Yeah. All right, I'm calling you out now. Put that fan down. That's it. We're wrestling, me and you. 260, 140. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Are you 140?
He looks it.
Don't worry about how much I weigh. Fighting weight, yeah. I could get down to like 135 if I needed to.
I haven't seen 140 since I was born.
All right. Well, we got a lot riding on this card. We got the normal bets, the normal DFS stuff.
Mad Lab, I'm trying to jump on your back. Jumping up there, trying to get your back.
Yeah. Little extra juice on this one. So it should be a fun night. Starts in 2.5 hours. So contests filling up. Make sure to jump in those if you're playing DFS tonight, and good luck to everybody watching. We do appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't done so. I believe we'll be back next week for another card, and at least one shoey going down next week between Drew and Mad Lab, and maybe myself too if Cody Brundage manages to pull off.
You know what? I'm not a drinker, so I might get buzzed off if I have to lose 2 bets in a row. But I'm willing to do maybe a shoey on the Brundage fight just on principle.
Yeah, join me on the Brundage.
Wait, you got a shoey bet with this?
Yeah, DC already said he's.
Oh, all right, that's fine. As long as somebody in this.
If Brundage wins, DC's doing a shoey.
Okay, that's good. All right, as long as we got something on there. All right, good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
James, you by toe lock, Tate said.
We're getting out of here. For JSU, for Mad Lab, for Drew, I'm DC. We'll check you next week, and we are out.